what happened at PSX 2017's opening night. PlayStation Experience was organized a little differently this year, with its game showcase taking place last night rather than today, and no real keynote speech. Announcements were a little light as well. Regular games are still getting new VR capability added, and hey, MediEvil is getting remastered. Instead of standing speeches and intermittent trailers, the PSX 2017 opening ceremony consisted mostly of people sitting on a couch on stage giggling about games that already released, like Horizon Zero Dawn, or imminent releases like God of War, as people in the audience shouted random stuff in excitement. As one person in the Twitch chat put it, the night was more of a laid-back podcast than blockbuster affair. Sony executive Sean Layden didn't have too many bombshell announcements. Or any, really. In fact, it was a pretty quiet night overall. We've collected some of the more notable highlights below. Wipeout Omega Collection is getting a VR mod. It's a sensible addition to the game, given that VR tends to work best when someone's occupying a fixed space like a cockpit. Although, as Layden joked, you'll have to supply your own sickness bags. The mod doesn't bring any new content outside of the VR capability and is due out in early 2018. The new God of War will be long. There weren't any new trailers or confirmation of a release date, but creative director Cory Barlog did note the game will be around 35-40 hours long. Previous God of War games have been closer to 10 hours, but in 2017 and 2018 even games that aren't open world are still overwhelming, chock full of stuff to do. Detroit Become Human lets you press circle to ask about emotional shocks. Quantic Dream's philosophical reflection on robots and humanity was demoed live on stage as a fun game to play with friends. In case you were wondering if David Cage's new game would involve hyper-emotional over-the-top moments, rest assured it will. There will also be plenty of walking around while game prompts flood the screen. Donut County still looks beautifully chill. Ben Esposito's game about being a hole in the ground that sucks up everything around it was originally prototyped back in 2012. I've been following it ever since, and I'm glad to see it's shaping up so well. The latest trailer also does the best job of explaining what the game is, so you should really just watch that. Currently, it's scheduled to arrive on PS4 and smartphones and PC next year. MediEvil is getting remastered for PS4. There's this thing where Layden wears T-shirts to PSX repping his favorite old game series, and then fans salivate over the prospect of them getting revived. Since Ratchet and Clank and Crash Bandicoot were such a success, the ritual continued this year. I loved MediEvil. I have fond memories of playing it early in the morning before school, and while Sir Daniel Fortesque made terrible jokes. And even I don't quite know how Sony chose it, of all possible games, to get a PS4 remaster with 4K capabilities. Layden's shirt did look pretty cool though. You'll soon be able to have an adorable bird dog fill your entire field of vision. The Last Guardian is getting its own VR capability with a demo available starting on December 12th. Where VR makes perfect sense for something like Wipeout, it's a little more foreboding in a game with cameras and movement that can be as wonky as Last Guardian's. So if you're going to need puke bags for the former, you might need a bucket for this one. Mega Man will be in Monster Hunter World. He won't be playable though. Instead, the Blue Bomber will be one of your Palico buddies should you choose him. In addition to eating sausages with you, he'll also let you listen to chiptunes while you spend countless hours poaching enormous beasts for their hides and whatnot. It's the clearest evidence yet that Capcom intends on making 2018 the year of Mega Man. You'll probably be able to change your PSN name in the future. Maybe. Kindafani's Greg Miller asked Layden during a short interview at the end of the night when players would finally be able to change their PSN profile names, some of which are decades old and were created when people thought Blazit 420 was the epitome of funny. Let me put it this way, I hope we'll see events occur so that you don't have to ask me that question next PSX. He said. Make of that what you will. And there you have it. Overall, it was a pretty chill if uneventful night. If you're interested in listening to some of the developers that were on stage talk about their games and what it's been like working on them, you can catch the entire PSX opening night below. Shuhei Yoshida on PSVR sales: the success of one of us is the success of all of us is. This week Sony confirmed that it had now sold 2 million units of its PlayStation VR PSVR headset, which is largely thought, though completely unconfirmed, to be more than the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive have sold thus far. But Sony's Shuhei Yoshida isn't boasting about the company's success. He actually thinks it's good for its rivals too. Yoshida said as much in a recent interview with King of Funny's Greg Miller during the 2017 PlayStation Experience. Actually, when you talk about other VR people, because VR is such a passion project for all of us, not just our teams who worked on PSVR, but Palmer Luckey and those Oculus guys who jumped on that early, and Valve guys preaching and teaching lots of research they've been doing. It's a small community, he explained when he was asked why he thought PSVR had taken off. And we respect each other and discuss. So we have the same kind of passion and goal to make this amazing new medium in the hands of lots of people. For that reason, Yoshida thinks PSVR's success helps elevate the entire community, not just Sony. So, I think, the success of any of us is the success of all of us. He continued. Because, with VR you have to experience it to really understand the potential of this new medium. That's the most difficult part. We were struggling. You have to communicate, you can just show the trailer, because the experience is different. Getting more people to try good VR for the first time is a win for all of us. We are working on good VR. Sony had a big showing for PSVR at this weekend's event, announcing Wipeout and The Last Guardian VR experiences among other things. And, with the headset going on sale for just $199 next week, it's looking like PSVR will continue to have strong sales going into the new year. Here's hoping. At least. PlayStation head adds his voice to the pledge protecting single-player games. The PlayStation Experience is going on now, and we've already had a few solid insights as to what 2018 will hold for gamers on the Sony platform. A big topic of discussion, as of late, revolves around single-player games and whether or not they hold any value. After EA made a controversial statement saying that gamers don't want single-player linear games, many developers and publishers alike stood up to say that EA does not speak for them. God of War's team, Bethesda, and many more have all pledged their continued support of a solid single-player story. And during this weekend's celebration, the PlayStation boss did the same. CEO Sean Layden mentioned that there was a lot of devotion and love for a breathtaking narrative. Makes sense, as Sony's exclusive line-up comes with a ton of these types of games, many of which we will be seeing more this weekend. That's what they do well, he said, and we're glad for it. Many gamers were upset to hear EA's comments, given that they came shortly after the closure of a studio working on a highly anticipated Star Wars linear story. They shut it down because gamers don't want it and are revamping it for a multiplayer experience. Clearly that didn't go over quite the way they were hoping. And this year's Game Awards and PlayStation Experience talk about shade were all about making sure EA knew that the community wasn't just going to take that. Horizon Zero Dawn, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Uncharted. There is a lot of proof on the Sony side showing that linear story love. Hopefully such big names speaking out will inspire EA to take a slightly different approach towards games, please. Please in time for Dragon Age. As for right now, the PlayStation Experience is going on now, and we are covering it live this year. Stay tuned for all things PlayStation as we continue to celebrate the beloved platform.